Yes, I'm a creator of giving through music. What you just heard was called Reborn. It was composed by myself, arranged by my husband, Ben Cranen. Originally, there were lyrics. Lyrics were written by Y.W. Lee. And here today, we have Nigel Pei playing the guitar with us. Thank you, Nigel. When I was 3 years old, my mom bought me a Superman costume, the one with the cape behind. One day, I decided to wear the Superman costume. I stood up on the table, bent my knees, took off. And guess what? I landed on the ground with a thud. You see, I thought I could be like my favorite gymnast, Nadia Comaneci, flying in the air. But of course, I sustained a broken nose. So I started my sports career with a broken nose. At 7 years old, I represented Singapore at the Southeast Asian Games. I was the youngest competitor at that point in time. I still hold the record of being the youngest competitor for the Southeast Asian Games. When I was 7 years old, I had a purpose in life. And my purpose was to become an Olympian. 7 years old, become an Olympian? We have to think about that. In order to make my sport, my skill better, I decided to go to China to train when I was 9 years old. At 9 years old, my training, I put in a lot of time to train and I got better. But it put a toll on my mind, on my body. I sustained a lot of injuries and I was always very lonely. I was lonely because I was traveling so much. If it wasn't for competition, it was for training. In the process of pursuit for success in the sport, my balance began to tip. The millions of hours that I put in to train did not reap the rewards that I was looking for. And the final tip over came when in 1995, the reporters headlined the newspaper saying, Eileen Chai, the athlete with poor sportsmanship. I will not talk about this incident that happened because this will divert us from the topic that we are talking about today, which is about finding your life purpose. Since young, sports was part of my life. And my purpose in life was to become an Olympian. But so many things were going against me. Injuries. If you name any part of my body, I have an injury. And I was always lonely, not very good on my psychological well-being. And the negative reports in the newspapers, that was really tough. So knowing that there was so much of things against me, I came to a point to realize that my purpose in life was not supposed to be become an Olympian. So I stopped short my sports career and stopped training. But good news, when I went to the university, one day on campus ground, I passed by the Center for the Arts. I passed by the rehearsal hall. I heard music. I was curious, so I opened the door. And lo and behold, so many people like that, so many people. Everybody was laughing, everybody was making music together. At one corner, I saw violins. Wow, violins. I recognize that instrument. When I was 4 years old, I have learned the violin before. There was this sudden surge of happiness in me. And I was thinking, wow, if this sudden surge of happiness will make me so happy and make me feel like I have friends again, that would be wonderful. So at that point in time, I told myself, I'm going to pick up the violin again. I practiced for 6 hours every day, no kidding. Monday to Sunday, non-stop. And within a year, I managed to get my grade 8 certification for violin. So within a year, I participated with the NUS, National University of Singapore Symphony Orchestra, and eventually I joined the Singapore National Youth Orchestra as a violist. Fast forward a little bit more into my career path. I was a teacher with the Ministry of Education, teaching physical education and music. I was an international technical official for diving, springboard diving specifically. I was an internationally certified coach for track and field. And I've done events and venue management with the Youth Olympic Games, the Asian Youth Games, as well as the events group in ESPN. And now, happily, I'm a violin teacher and a violin performer. The only guarantee in life is the constant change. So how do we deal with the constant changes in our lives? Very easy, by being an active learner. Before I became a violin teacher and a performer, I wanted to write. I wanted to be in communications. So I started a blog to continue to write. I sent out my blogs to my friends and asked them, hey, how do you think I can make myself become a better writer? I even went through the cold way by contacting people via LinkedIn. I would read the newspapers, traditional media, and contact the writers in the papers and ask them for tips, advice, and comments on the materials that I've written so that I can be a better writer. I went on to look for job openings in communications so that I could learn on the job. I was very lucky. I managed to find a job as a media relations officer. My job scope was to write speeches for guests of honors, ministers, to prepare media releases, and also need a team to do social media. The company that I was in, they frequently, or rather annually, they will organize this international event called Singapore Human Capital Summit. When they asked for volunteers to become MCs, I raised up my hand and said, yes, I want to be one. And I really enjoy being an MC. You can see on stage, the speakers on stage, they were all smiling. I think they enjoyed what I was talking about that day. But of course, not everything's a bed of roses. Because I was still a newbie in writing, I wrote very slow. On many occasions, on many days, I have to stay back after office hours just to finish my work. But I persevered. In 2014, I wrote a book called Teach a Life for Life, Sharing Life Lessons Learned Through Music. It was edited by Eileen. This book became one of the top sellers in the leading bookstores in Singapore. This happened in 2014, in the second half of the year. And when I became a violin performer, as well as a violin teacher, I wanted to try street basking. So I went to apply with the National Arts Council, and I got the license to actually perform. Why I wanted to perform was because two things. First thing was, I was doing violin live looping at that point in time. Violin live looping means you use gadgets, like what guitarists would use, create sound effects, create layers. Once you're happy with it, you play your melody over the sounds. So I wanted to bring this way of making music, this artistry, to the community. The other reason why I wanted to be a street busker was because I want to know how to engage the audience. At a private event, people come to see you perform. No problem. They have to sit there and watch you perform. No way of getting out of it. But as a street busker, a pedestrian passes by. The pedestrian didn't know that you were going to perform. They were there to probably do some shopping sprees. So I wanted a street bus to learn how to engage the audience. So as I mentioned, the guarantee in life is always a constant change. In order to adapt to this constant change, you have to be an active learner. Once you are an active learner, all the knowledge that you have gained, all the things that you have learned, the universe will conspire to bring all these elements together and present it to you in front of the table. Before you know it, you realize, hey, I have an arsenal of tools already to fulfill my destiny, to fulfill my purpose in life. But one thing you must remember, any point in time when you are learning, you must always be patient because learning takes time. So I'll give you a real-life example. As you can see, through my career path, there were constant changes in my life, but I was always an active learner. I'm able to teach now because I went through a teaching course with the Ministry of Education. So I scaffold my teaching. I'm able to create bite-sized information for my students. I'm also able to teach because I attended the coaching course for international coaches, where I develop a coach's eye. So I apply the sports coaching when I'm doing my violin teaching. I'm able to organize events for my students to perform in because I've organized events before. The things that I've learned, I'm making use of it now. My personality is such that I love to give, I love to share. And the other thing that I love to do is I love to play the violin. So I combine the things that I've learned with my personality of giving and the things that I love to do, which is to play music. Combine it together, I put it on the table, and I realize my purpose in life is not to become an Olympian. It's to give through music. So for yourself, if you're now studying a subject that you love, that's no problem. That's really wonderful. You just need to remember that we must always be an active learner because you never know that one learning opportunity might lead you to somewhere, might lead you to bigger dreams, might lead you to your purpose in life. If you are studying a subject that maybe not that suitable for you, maybe something is not so nice about it, but it's okay. Remember, the only guarantee in life is constant change. We are always constantly evolving. But we must remember, we must always actively learn, continuously learn. Because as we continue to learn, and you realize that when you are kept being drawn towards certain activities, and you keep on wanting to do these activities, you realized you have arrived. You realize you have found your space. You realize you found your place. And my friend, I must tell you, you are reborn. Thank you.